A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to HWH Season 7. It's a bit cool out today, unfortunately. I never quite expected the middle of August to literally become this cold at some point. I mean, that just goes to show lots of things have been going on that you never quite expected to take place. And yet here we are, pretty much. This is episode 7 of HWH Season 7. And well, what I got to show for today are Hot Wheels models. Yes, not just any. This sticker up here says, new for 2022. And as a result, it does look like we have a bunch of new additions to the collection. But let's just say that apart from a lot of these standard model releases, many of which are recast and reiterations, it does appear that there are some extras that I've been able to collect in recent years. And I really want to try and expand more upon many opportunities that I've been able to receive in recent years, especially after all the upgrades, all the money I've gotten that I've been able to put together into getting this series much better over time. And now the fact that I have myself a 7th season after well over 4 years since I started this whole thing, I mean, I've come a long way with everything so far. But in any case, this is a Tracksurf Moto, a motorcycle designed to be used on Hot Wheels tracks. It basically has spherical wheels on it, which are meant to adjust for balance and stability on regular Hot Wheels style straight track or otherwise. So I basically have 5 of those, but in addition to that, these are the Mutant Machines, vehicles that do in fact have flexible spines, multi-segmented patterns which are meant to replicate the look of a centipede or a millipede. And these vehicles are probably a bit better off not necessarily being put together on most stunt kits and the like the ones that I basically unboxed from episode 1, but looking back at everything that I've done so far, I'd say I got it going pretty well. And hopefully, if I get enough of both Mutant Machines and Tracksurf Moto models, I could actually make standalone episodes with either of these pretty much for the first time. And I've been wanting to do it for a long time, but because these pieces are kind of rare, hard to find at times, and are mostly new in box, which can make them much more pricier than usual, that's basically what's been holding me back a little bit. And I've been trying to get my finances back in order pretty well. But so far, things have been looking up pretty well. In this whole entire year, I've been able to scrape together whatever money I could so I can get everything put together. I feel like one other thing there should also be pointed out. Like what I did with episode 1, where I unboxed a crap ton of stunt kits and all that, a lot of sets, and left a huge mess for me to clean up. But I feel like this one's probably not going to be as messy, if not more so, than all of that stuff that I unboxed in episode 1. But to get things started, we're going to focus on the standard models. This is the Mighty K, one of the first new for 2022 models. And so, this in particular is incredibly detailed. Basically a small Asian pickup. And like pretty much every other model right there, it says Malaysia on the bottom. Also has a copyright date of, well, the year prior to when it was released, of course, because usually they have them patented up to a year before they're even released. Next model we're gonna simply take out is the 2011 Dodge Charger RT, which was in fact a recast of Batman v Superman. And it was mostly just a bunch of Batmobiles and all that, but this is one of the only alternatives to the Batmobile lineup that you could get with that set. And this one's made to look like the GCPD vehicles. Next up is a recolor of a model that I did have, because as I mentioned before, I did in fact have to sell a lot of different Hot Wheels models and the like that I used to own, because they unfortunately were not necessarily as worthy as most that I consider VIP. But this is basically a recoloring of Fig Rig, one of those models where you could install a Lego minifigure on if you so chose to do so. Up next is another new for 2022 model, Mach It Go. One of a few good fantasy models that we're hoping to see perform well, but I have yet to see how this one actually works. And considering how last year's lineup didn't necessarily hold off all too well, I really gotta say, they did have some good intentions. But this one does kind of feel very similar to most of the other speed team vehicles out there, like Forward Force and Cosmic Coupe, pretty much. But I got a feeling that Mach It Go might be even better than all those. Next up is the Super Mario Kart Standard Kart, which is pretty much what you think it is. Just a replica of the famous Mario Karts that we've known and loved since day one. Yet another 2022 model basically comes around, as this one is Roadster Bites. Now this one, I really love the color scheme right here. The forest green contrasts with the yellow and orange wheels, and does have some nice accent stripes that match up with the base and the wheels. So overall, quite a brilliant combo, if you ask me. And next up is the Dodge Challenger Drift Car, which is one of a few models I had never quite got my hands on at any point in time. So it feels nice to finally get one of these locally, because spending them online would have cost me a lot more than it would have for 99 cents compared to maybe $8. So that's just the Challenger Drift Car. I feel like I've also had the Charger Drift Car at some point, and I've even shown it on HWH before, so that pretty much adds that up. But here we got ourselves a motorcycle, not the Tracksurf Motos, because we haven't gotten to them yet. This one is known as Bad Bagger, and just like with the Challenger Drift Car, this is one that I have never gotten my hands on before, and well, up until this very point, I've never actually owned whatsoever. This one's pretty heavy in the hands, and a good chance that there might not be even the slightest doubt that this might not perform as good, but we're probably gonna have to see what happens soon enough. So, 8 models down, 2 more to go pretty much. There's a couple of new for 2021 models that I also have here as well. This is the Aston Martin V12 Speedster, which is one of the last castings that Mattel has released from last year, pretty much. And there's a lot of other new for 2022 models, but maybe what I'll do is that by the end of this year, the end of this season, it's just a possibility, but I could basically round up every other 2022 model out there. But for a 2021 model, I mean, that's pretty much what you think it is. An Aston Martin Roadster with 2 seats, pretty much. Kind of reminds me of Battle Spec, almost. But let's not even compare that because of how bad 2021 sucked. But here comes another 2021 model out there that I was eventually able to get a hold of. The Range Rover Classic. So, I really ought to say though that with all the new 2022 models out there, I'm willing to go grab them all as much as I possibly can. And maybe I'll go hunting for much of those gift packs out there, so that way I could probably grab a hold of a large number of other models that I used to have but have since sold off. And maybe I could get them all back pretty much as recasts and recolors, depending on what I can find out there in the stores. But this is the Range Rover Classic number 81, and basically has all sorts of nice, wow, anything that you could possibly think of. But now we're going to move on to the Mutant Machines. And I got 3 of those, so the unboxing will not be as long as it was here. This is the first one of the third, and, well, Power Tread is pretty much up and out of its packaging. It's pretty much a little cab-over fuel tanker. Has that nice little tail in the back, and then of course a nice sort of flexible ribbed spine, pretty much utilizing that nice sort of stretchy rubber and all that. That makes this thing pretty unique in every way. I guess the real thing is, will we ever see some good performance out of these kind of vehicles? I guess we'll have to see how that works out. So here comes the second of the third. This one is known as Robo Wheels. And with that, that pretty much completes that. Robo Wheels is out, just like with Power Tread. Now on to the last one, pretty much. A nice little trio. But here we go with the unboxing of Flex Force. And, well, this one also does seem like it might do pretty well out there. You never know until you try, though. At least that's what they say. But with that in mind, it's time to focus on the last segment of this whole thing. This one I feel like is gonna be a whole different story than all the others. Here we go with the first Tracksurf Moto model out there. This one has a bit of a different sort of arrangement in terms of the packaging, but this one is Street Show. And well, you could probably hear it, but because of the wheels and all that, the cylindrical, well, design of it, because it does in fact look almost like a cylinder from the side, it does have a more of a spherical sort of shape to it though when you really look at it from a certain angle. But this is going to help allow it to keep balanced and stable while on a Hot Wheels track. And so Street Show is basically up and out, and there's 4 more to go here. And this one I was able to get on clearance, as you can see by the sticker, at a thrift store. So this one is simply known as Wild Ride. And well, while Street Show is orange, this one has a more purple sort of color to it. And if you really look at it, especially with the figurine that's on top of it, it is pretty nice looking. I mean, you could look at it from any way, any angle that you please, and you still might feel different about it. But in any case, I feel like that these kind of models are probably going to do good on the track, if not better than any others I've seen when it comes to motorcycles. On to the third one right here, known as Howland. Howland is very different from Howler, of course. Howland Heat is also another model that I own, pretty much. But Howland, as you can see right here, does seem to have some paint defects. I don't know if you're able to see it just right without the focus and all that, but pretty much, just looking at it from any angle, that's just kind of the thing about it. Sometimes manufacturing defects can happen when you least expect it, and well, you might be stuck with one of those rare examples. But this is our 4th Tracksurf Moto model. This one's called Too Cool. And the figurine on this one is just incredible. I mean, look at that. Kind of reminds me of the Blues Brothers. But Blues Brothers references aside, this is the last one right here. This one's called Rattle Ripper. So, they do come up with some interesting names for these ones, as in the case where they try to see what other kinds of fantasy names they could come up with without going too far. And Rattle Ripper actually does look like it could probably glow in the dark. I'm not so sure about it at this point, but I probably can't ultimately put my finger on it, but it does seem that aside from all this being over, then well, you could basically just take a look right here. this is pretty much what you get. If you were to basically take in some Mutant Machine, Tracksurf Moto, as well as some new for 2022, 2021, or just basic Hot Wheels assortment models, then this is pretty much what you get. And I'm pretty proud to say that I've gotten pretty far with a lot of this stuff. And HWH Season 7 is only just beginning. So do be sure to check out the channel for more stuff, and I will see y'all next time.